Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the February 19th, 2018 edition of The Breast There Is, The Breast There Was, and The Breast There Ever Will Be Wrestling Podcast. As always, I am your host, Mikey B, WWE, and I'm here to bring you all the important events of the WWE this past week. Beginning with Monday Night Raw, last Monday, February the 12th. The show opened with John Cena, who, for me, has become the most important figure entering WrestleMania season. And I'll tell you what I mean by this. First of all, John Cena, if a lot of fans probably realize, he currently has 16 title reigns, which is tied for the all-time most with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. So certainly, I think we can all expect that someday Vince McMahon and the company, the creative team, is going to give John that 17th title, just because he's meant so much to the company, and he's been a mainstay for such a long time, and I'm totally okay with this. But why this is important is because John Cena, heading into his Elimination Chamber matchup in a week's time, has not made any mention of the importance of getting that 17th title at the moment. He opened the show by coming out and talking about just WrestleMania season and how much it means to him and how important this all is and how every fan gets excited for WrestleMania season. Fair enough. I've been saying for a long time that I believe the main event, at least for the Universal Championship for the Monday Night Raw brand, is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. It would be wonderful if John Cena was able to get in there as well, possibly in a triple threat. However, there was something that John Cena said which I think for most casual fans went right above their heads, but I picked up on this and I thought this was very noteworthy, which was during the course of his speech, John Cena said, and I quote, "WrestleMania can bring a legend back from the dead." So I was talking recently after the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw in recent weeks, how The Undertaker made an appearance. And of course, I think just about every wrestling fan can hope and anticipate that he might have one more match in him if the company brings him in for a special event like that. I think with The Undertaker, everybody thought maybe after last year's WrestleMania that it was it for him. He was retired. Yet he never had at WrestleMania a match against John Cena, which certainly would be a major ticket, high ticket item match, and would be big enough that you could also build the entire pay-per-view around that as well. I say as well because the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura likely WWE Championship match, which is likely to occur, is also one of those type of matches you can build around. However, John Cena and Undertaker, of course, have been with the company for 15, 25 years, like collectively over 40 years together. Whereas AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, as great as they are as wrestlers in the ring, they are still relatively new in their time in the WWE. So as great a match as that would be, there's something even more special about John Cena and The Undertaker if they were to square off at WrestleMania. So I'm very much hoping that it will be one of these scenarios where John Cena will either win the Elimination Chamber and get into that Universal Championship match, and they start building a program around the idea that he can possibly win his 17th title, or that The Undertaker makes an appearance in the next, maybe at Elimination Chamber at that event, or at some point soon, and begins a feud with John Cena, which will culminate in WrestleMania. At the moment, I'm tending to favor the side that it would be Undertaker coming in and somehow, interfering with John or picking a fight with him to start the feud, because they haven't mentioned anything lately about John Cena's 17th title reign. The commentators haven't said a word about it, nor has John Cena himself while he's been cutting any promos in the ring. So at the moment, I'm thinking that Undertaker John Cena is more than likely the case, which would be amazing, because at the moment we don't know if Undertaker will even come back and fight again. So this is all speculative, but that would be great, and I'm sure every wrestling fan would love to see this matchup. So that was an interesting way to kick things off on Monday Night Raw. Besides this, John Cena, shortly after his promo, had a match with The Miz, both of which have qualified for the Elimination Chamber matchup next week. And this match here was to determine whoever lost would be the number one entrant in the Elimination Chamber match. The Miz's Miztourage were banned from ringside for this match, certainly, which did not give him the edge that he normally has when he has his matches. So John Cena was victorious, meaning The Miz will enter number one in the Elimination Chamber match. Also on Monday Night Raw, Kurt Angle made some big announcements himself. The first of which was that after her appearance at the end of the Royal Rumble, Ronda Rousey will be appearing at the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view in order to sign a Monday Night Raw contract. So far, none of us know how Ronda Rousey will be involved at WrestleMania, but we know that she will be. The fact that she's going to be signing a Monday Night Raw contract, I believe, sort of now gives us the impression that she's going to have some sort of a feud or program with one or multiple people on the Monday Night Raw roster, which I think would make the most sense. It appeared when she did make her entrance at the end of the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, it seemed at that point that maybe she would do a feud with Charlotte Flair from SmackDown, but my guess at this point in time is that she may do some sort of a feud with Asuka or Nia Jax or Alexa Bliss, or maybe all of the above. It's difficult to say. I'm sure even though the WWE has certainly a general idea what they're building towards WrestleMania, they're always certainly reworking and retooling storylines and programs as they see fit. So it's who knows if they even have decided what they're going to do with her yet. But we do know that she's going to appear at that event in order to sign her contract. And Kurt Angle also made the announcement that after many weeks recently with, it seemed like kayfabe dealing with an injury, meaning that it's part of the storyline, it appears that his son Jason Jordan, he has announced, actually has suffered a legitimate injury and had neck surgery, and will thus render him ineffective and out for WrestleMania. It's difficult to say what this is, if this is actually part of the storyline or not, because in recent weeks and months, he's really appeared to play more of the pansy role and suck up to his dad and be kind of weak-willed and not have a lot of honor and courage. So, but that's a big statement that he's out and that he won't be appearing at WrestleMania. Jason Jordan was nowhere to be seen on Monday Night Raw's broadcast, so for now, I guess we have to assume what Kurt Angle said is genuine, and we'll see if that was all a bit of a ruse or if he actually is legitimately hurt and will miss some significant time. So that remains to be seen. Also on Monday Night Raw, this is not really a major event, but it was noteworthy because I don't think any of us expected to see this happen. During a moment when Elias was in the ring playing his guitar, all of a sudden Braun Strowman comes out and brings out this humongous bass, which he started to play and sang along. So we got to see a more human side to Braun Strowman for a few minutes, and not just his monster killing machine persona that we've come to expect week after week. So that was something that was interesting to see. And besides this, the main event for the evening was initially a fatal four-way match, which featured Bray Wyatt, Matt Hardy, Apollo Crews, and Finn Balor, in order to determine which one of them would become the sixth entrant into the Elimination Chamber match next weekend. Seth Rollins, after Jason Jordan went down and the announcement was made about his injury, was saying he confronted Kurt Angle and said, "Hey, I have no plans. I have nothing to do. I have no opponents right now or anything scheduled for WrestleMania. So he more or less pled to be involved in this matchup himself, so he can possibly qualify for the elimination, to qualify for that Elimination Chamber match and possibly give him a shot at getting the Universal Championship at WrestleMania. So after a vote from the fans, Seth Rollins was inserted into this match, and the main event was now a fatal 5-way match. And it had a bit of a controversial finish as Seth Rollins and Finn Balor both secured the pinfall at the same time. And then there was a lot of confusion. They both assumed they were winners. And Monday Night Raw went off the air without the fans having a clear-cut idea who was going to be named the winner or how they were going to settle this. And one other thing I would like to mention about Monday Night Raw's broadcast was that the former wrestler Ivory was named as the third inductee in this year's WWE Hall of Fame class after Bill Goldberg and the Dudley Boys tag team. So she's now the third inductee this year. So moving over to SmackDown now, as I was just mentioning a moment ago about the controversial finish on Monday Night Raw with being uncertain as to who between Seth Rollins and Finn Balor who would gain that 6th spot in the Elimination Chamber match. During a commercial, of all things, they were during a commercial break on SmackDown Live. They were discussing Monday Night Raw and mentioned how that match, the Elimination Chamber match, will now be a 7-person match. So clearly, the company decided to insert both of those guys into the match, even though they didn't make this official announcement during the live broadcast on Monday. So that was a bit surprising that they conducted it this way, but. There you go. More is how Vince McMahon seems to handle the storytelling these days. So that match now has 7 people in it instead of 6. And so on SmackDown Live, some of the events which took place there was a scheduled matchup between Dolph Ziggler and Baron Corbin. And the winner of this match was set for the SmackDown's next pay-per-view, Fastlane, was going to be joining the WWE Championship match with champion AJ Styles and competitors Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. So early on at the start of the show, we saw footage backstage of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn attacking both Ziggler and Baron Corbin, in essence to try and eliminate them from even being able to compete in such a match to qualify for the WWE Championship, so that the numbers would still be on their side. So that's what they both got. They both gave a pummeling to both Corbin and Dolph Ziggler. And so then Daniel Bryan announced that, after a discussion with Shane McMahon decided that each one of these members was going to have a singles match against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn that night. And if either of them won, then they would be inserted in the match, or both would be inserted in the match. And if Sami or Kevin were to interfere in either match, then they would be kicked out of the matchup, the championship match. So the first one up then was Kevin Owens and Baron Corbin. Baron Corbin did secure the victory, so he's now entered, and so it became a fatal 4-way at Fastlane. As well, later on, Sami Zayn then competed against Dolph Ziggler, in which Dolph Ziggler was the victor. So this now has become, instead of a triple threat match at Fastlane, it's now a fatal 5-way. So in the course of this week, we learned that the 2 main events for the last 2 pay-per-views prior to WrestleMania, for the men's side anyways, will have 7 competitors and 5 respectively. So lots of people in there. I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, as I've mentioned on previous podcasts. The Elimination Chamber, I guess that one, it's more understandable to have so many members in there since it's always been a 6-person affair. So, but to have this WWE Championship become now, instead of a triple threat, a 5-person fatal 5-way match, it's just getting excessive. So we'll see what happens and what comes of this, if they're going to even insert more people, since Tonight and tomorrow we have these are the last shows leading up to at least to the Elimination Chamber. Fastlane won't be until March, so they have a bit more time to work on the pay-per-view and the card there. So anyways, this is pretty much all the important details, all the important events going on in WWE this week. As I was saying, they're still slowly putting together the WrestleMania puzzle. So we're still getting little bits of information each week as to how this WrestleMania pay-per-view is going to shape up. But right now, considering that most of the top wrestlers in the company are healthy, I think this is a good sign that this does have potential to have some really good matches on the card this year. So that will cover it. We'll see what comes this week. So don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel below if you liked what you heard today. Thanks very much for listening, and see you next time.